My name is Sophia from sacredyou.love, and today we have a very special guest on Shining the Light on our community. A beautiful and amazing community member who I've met in another wonderful community, the Women's Prosperity Network. But today we're talking to Dr. Ida Greene, who is here to tell us all about intuitive and the magic of incorporating our intuition into our business, our life and our business, getting to know our intuition. And Dr. Ida, welcome, and you're the soul whisperer coach of intuition coaching. Love to know more about that. So just let me read this for you to introduce you to all our beautiful listeners. So Dr. Ida, like I said, you're the soul whisperer coach, and you show us how to awaken our inner guidance to having fulfilling relationships, manifesting our desires, and being in the flow of all that is good and all that is coming to us. So welcome, Dr. Ida. Really, really welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
It's wonderful to join us. Tell us a little bit about your life. I really want to get to know who you are, because you are an inspiration. I mean, you're an author of 22 books. You know, you help others to awaken, to develop, and to grow our inner guidance. You combine that with using our intuition in our life and business. So how did you get to where you are now?
This has really been an amazing journey because it all starts with the self. And I have been growing. It's like the journey into the soul, journey into who you are. And I've been on that journey for quite some time. And the more I'm on that journey, the more I realize that the deeper and the more layers of me I peel away, and the more I get into my essence of who I am, then I'm able to soar better. Like there's a relationship with the self, relationship with others, and now I'm looking at the relationship with divine. But so much of my life has been looking at my relationship with myself. And I think this is where most people are, is looking at the relationship with the self, because it impacts the relationship with others.
It
So I
does.
have been in that world with me and others, and my relationship with myself was interrupted with my relationship with other people. First, my first husband, who was schizophrenic, and that helped me out of really being who I was and having to look at him. When you don't know that someone, when you marry someone, you think you who you have in front of you is somebody different than what you expected. And I was constantly trying to adjust my reality, who I was and who I had to become to stay in that marriage and to deal with that man. So I was constantly I had to submerge my own relationship with myself, in terms of my own wants and desires and what I wanted in terms of a normal marriage. It was mostly about surviving
Yeah.
and really surviving, because when people are hallucinating and they're hearing voices, you don't know whether you're going to hurt, whether they're going to hurt you or not. Plus,
Yes.
you would hear these voices, would throw food around in the house, and so I was scared. So I was really just surviving. I was not really thriving. I just wanted to figure out how I got into that place, and really just I'm just treading the water, paddling, trying to survive in that relationship and how to be safe. So it was a time where I was really, that was not about me. Later that came after I left that traumatic marriage, then I had to work on me. But while I was there, it was really about him and the marriage. And I think I had a belief at that time that you shouldn't give up on a marriage. Plus, he was schizophrenic, and I didn't want to give up him, and the relationship. It was really a tough time. But I had to decide, when he started taking off his clothes and walking on the freeway, I thought he could get killed. So I had to send him home to his mother to take care of him. I felt really guilty about that. But when I went to Florida to visit him And I asked him if he wanted to get back together again. He just looked through me like he didn't even know me. I didn't even realize who I was. And I thought, he really is gone. He's not there completely. And so
Yeah.
I felt really bad. But shortly after that, his parents allowed him to take off his clothes. He got pneumonia. He died. So I was really got angry because I felt like he grew up me to San Diego and died on me and abandoned me. And here I am in San Diego by myself. So I had to go through my anger of him dying on me and being a widow and starting my life all over again. But that started me on my path of education because I immersed myself into college and got my bachelor's. I was a registered nurse, psychiatric nurse at that time too. But to leave my unit and go to another unit so they could take care of him. But I started working on my bachelor's and working on my master's. So that gave me something to do. So that's how I got into my bachelor's and getting my master's. And then I got a teacher credential. So all of that was just to really stabilize my mind and give me something to do and to help me to feel good about who I was as a person. So that was really good. And then I married again. And that was a turning point because I was not listening to my intuition. And my intuition told me not to marry this man. I felt more nervous than I've ever felt my entire life. I never felt that nervous before. But
Yes.
I was not listening to my intuition and ended up marrying this man. And that's what really got me on my journey because he was emotionally, physically, and spiritually abusive. And at the time I was studying to become a licensed marriage and family therapist. And so I had to get some counseling for my marriage, counseling for me to finish my license as a therapist. So I just had, plus I had a little boy that at 7 years that I was working, living with us. I had a foster mother. So I just had a lot of balls I was juggling, trying to make all that work. So it was just a tumultuous time. But what happened one day, third time he hit me, he told me before he hit me, he would cut off his hand. I looked and his hand was still in his body. I thought, he said he would cut off his hand. His hand is still in his body. He doesn't have control over his impulses. And I've got to put some distance between me and him.
Yes.
And I said to myself, I asked myself a question. I thought, I love me and I don't hit me. If he loved me, he wouldn't hit me. I thought, oh my God, I'm living with someone who doesn't love me. I thought, I got to put some distance between him. But thinking about it and taking action, it was just a journey of first marriage failed. I'm going to make this one work. I want to have a relationship marriage that works. And I had the boy and I want him to have a father. Just had all these things that was trying to help me. But then I started thinking about harming him. I thought, I'm not going to be here and let him beat me up like a pulp. And I thought, if I hurt this man, I'm going to go to prison. And then I'm going to have a heart attack. I thought, I have got to let that man go. Plus, my attorney told me, if you cancel this divorce one more time, I'm getting rid of you. I thought, I have no family, nobody in San Diego. If I better go through with this. So it was a big, long journey, but I finally made the decision to end that divorce. But that's what started on my healing because I had to started going to the domestic violence shelter to teach self-esteem classes with other people. I lost my self-esteem. Here I was a registered nurse. I had a bachelor's in counseling, a master's in counseling. I was studying to become a licensed marriage and family therapist. I did become one while I was with him. With all this education, I thought, if I can, with all this education, I can get in this kind of thing and pick this kind of partner, then it's not about education. It's about relationship with yourself, loving yourself and valuing, appreciating yourself. So I also had to work on building my self-esteem again, my self-worth, my self-love, my self-identity, all the parts. I started writing books about self-esteem because I had lost it. All the things that I needed were no longer in place. So that's what started me writing books. I started teaching at the domestic violence shelter, teaching self-esteem and self-worth to other women. And that's how I healed myself, helping others to heal themselves. I wrote an anger management book for kids, for women, for men. I started teaching domestic violence classes for women and men. So I just did all this to help others, but it really
Just
was healing me
helping you.
because I needed the help more than them. So that got me on my journey. So I took my lemons and made lemonade out of them. But it was really through my process of trying to help others that I healed my own anger, my own self-esteem, my own self-worth. So it was a bad situation, but it led to a good outcome. So I would have never written those books. I would never wrote these
Yeah.
domestic violence classes, and the class. None of this stuff would have happened had I not been wounded and was in anger and thinking about hurting that man. So it got me into the path of healing.
Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing that, and your life resonates so much. Your journey resonates so much with me, and I know with a lot of other people, a lot of other women and men who are watching. So I'd first like to thank you and honor you for sharing that, because it is an inspiration. And I really love how you talk about is that your experiences, even though they're extremely challenging and traumatic, and you've had to do a lot of work to recover from that, it has led you to where you are now. Right, and to being able to help others, and to realizing that that it really does come down to the relationship that we have with ourselves. I'm also a very firm believer that I can't have a relationship with anyone else until I have a relationship with myself, because it's just going to be, rather dysfunctional if I'm trying to get, because so much in today's world we try and get other people to fulfill our needs instead of fulfilling them ourselves first. And when that doesn't work, we have experiences like you've shared. So I just want to honor you for that, because it's very challenging, and it's a difficult time, especially to be in shelters, and then to get to where you are now, to helping others. So thank you. Tell us a little, when you said, I want to ask you, you didn't listen to your intuition when you married your second husband, but how are you now being able to develop that even more? That you are listening to your intuition, and you're using your intuition in your life and your business and helping others. How did that actually happen? What are the processes or the steps that you went through to start to listen to your intuition?
I had to carve out time to really start meditating. I started journaling. I started really looking at spiritual practices that could help me. Well, first of all, I just had to make some time to hear and listen to God, let God speak to me, because I was so busy, I was so into doing that I didn't take the time to be in the silence of my soul and start listening and hearing the message. But that was a process. Now I want to teach others how to do that. But that took me a number of years to actually start listening, because the voice of the source, the spirit, is so soft and so silent that it takes time. So I had to learn how to listen, how to go into the silence and really listen to hear the voice. And now that I have learned how to do that, I can teach that to other people. But it took me some time to actually get into the silence, to be still, to listen, and to listen on a deeper level to hear what was really being said to me. So a lot of people don't, they're so busy, we're so busy talking to God, to spirit, to source, that we're not listening. But it really takes some time going within to the silence of your soul and really hearing. And once you hear, then acting. But it took me some time just to listen, to hear, and then to process it and see how it would help me. So for such a long time, it was me healing me and going into that journey of the dark night of the soul, to
Yes.
heal my own woundedness, to heal my emotional trauma. So I had to work on anger, forgiveness, and unconditional love. So now I can teach the things that I had to go through. I can teach it now, but then I had to work on. It took me some time to work on forgiveness, to get off the anger with him, to just to forgive him, and to start on a new chapter in my life. So going through that allowed me to realize that what I needed to do for myself, I now do for others. So I teach them. But my biggest thing that I've been able to do is that I have the ability now to activate the intuition of other people. And that's the process. But I talk with them about healing a relationship with yourself, because it all starts with healing a relationship with ourselves, because we all have been wounded. We all have like limiting beliefs. Like I had this limiting belief, well, I need to be married. I need to keep a family going. I need to, all these things, it's not a good idea to leave a family, abandon a family, and stay with them for the sake of the son. I put everyone needs except mine. So once I realized that I am the center of all the inspiration and put me in the forefront and loving myself. So all of that now I can teach other people. It started with me healing myself. And now I can teach others how to do it because I've gone through the process. Before I couldn't teach it because I hadn't gone through it. Now that I've gone through it, I can teach it right now. But it all starts with, I call it loving yourself, 7 steps of healing yourself. That's where it really starts. It's like a 7-week program to heal yourself. And in that process, I activate the intuition, the inner guidance, so that they can listen more deeply and hear the voice of spirit source talking to them so that they can act upon those messages.
Sure, sure. So you have a program, a 7-week program to help people to heal themselves and to start
Yes.
to loving ourselves and thereby developing our intuition.
Yeah. So the process really, I call it awakening intuition, spiritual initiation. That's
Yes,
what has to happen. But the outer shell is really 7 weeks to heal yourself.
sure, sure. Which is so, so valuable and such a powerful thing because, a lot of, I think the majority of the people in our world don't even realize or aren't at the level of that we need to go within to heal ourselves. Because so
We're the
much
walking wounded. We're the
we're the
walking
walking
wounded.
wounded, yes,
With
and a
so
lot of
much of this
times,
emotional trauma. Yeah.
yeah, and we get into relationships because we think the relationships is what's going to heal us, and it actually compounds that. So I'm really excited, and I would love to know more about your program. And for everyone who is watching us, either live or the replay, if you're watching us now, then we will put all of Dr. Ida's links in as soon as we finish the conversation. And I do really recommend clicking on them. I've known Dr. Ida for a while now, and what she offers you, it's authentic. That's the word that I want to talk about. It's authentic because exactly what you're saying, like you've gone through this process yourself. It's not like that you've just developed it and you're teaching it to others, but you're actually living it. You're a walking example of healing those wounds. So very, very fabulous. Can you just explain briefly, Dr. Ida, about your program and maybe even like to share one of the steps, the first step that we can take
Yeah.
to
But one
heal
of the
ourselves?
yeah, one of the biggest step that everyone need to take is to carve out some time where spirit can pour into you, where you can have a time. I tell people to start with at least 5 to 10 minutes a day to 20 minutes, twice a day, just to sit and listen into the quietness. And some people have in that my 7-week program. I go through activating the chakras in the body. So I go through awakening and firing up that inner guided intuition, really with the crown chakra, awakening that and getting it fired up so that it can. And then we also would look at the root chakra, where you cleanse out all the trauma and the abuse that we've gone through and firing that up and purifying that. And also go to the heart, where there's all that hurt and pain and unforgiveness. And we go to the solar plexus, where all this trauma and pain and hurt is trapped inside our body. So we just go and purify and cleanse and fire all those chakras and take out all the impurities inside that and refine the soul and the spirit and connect to your divine self. So we just get them connected to that divine part of them that knows what is for the highest good. And that's what that 7 week is really, I call it a spirit initiation, because it really gets them aware of their divine self, who they are as a divine being, and awakens that their own divinity, so they're able to become their own healer, and it starts them on the journey to healing themselves.
Okay, wonderful. Really, really wonderful. We will definitely put links in for that because it sounds very exciting. And I'd like to know more about it as well. So I will check out the links for that. Now, that program, just one question about that program before we go on. I want to talk more about intuition too. But is that program, is it available all the time, or do you have it starting?
It is, well, it's starting up soon, but you know, what people could really get experience of me is getting a soul reading.
Sure.
I have a 15-minute soul reading, and the soul reading kind of tells them where the soul is at this point in life, you know, what is going on with them spiritually and emotionally, what is blocking them, what is their next step. So they could really start with getting that soul reading. You know, that's on my website, but I think it's $150, but if they come through you or to, you know, mention your program, it's $97 for that. Nice. So reading is just a really good place. But then the 7-week program, I'm going to be starting that in the 17th of August this month. Sure. And that program is normally $697, but they mention you that they've got, we talk, then they can have that program for $297. They get $400 off of that program as well. So they get a good bargain when they mention about you, mention that we talked, that will give them a big discount.
Absolutely. That is a really wonderful offer. So again, for everyone who is listening, do take Dr. Ida up on her offer, because saving $400 is so generous. So thank you for that, Dr. Ida. We will put all those links in the comments. Can I ask you to let's talk about a little bit more about intuition, and how do you incorporate intuition into your life and your business? You know, if someone is, you know, we've got many entrepreneurs in our community and the Women's Prosperity Network, and you know, so how can we incorporate intuition into our life and our business?
I really know for certain that this activation, this process that I do, it allows you to have me help you to do that. We all need some guidance and help. So once I can help you to connect with your divine self, with who you are, then you're more able to facilitate that. Now, let me say this, everyone has intuition, but we don't really, it's hard to heal yourself. It's hard to help yourself. So because we think, well, I know, it's just not knowledge. It's really the guidance, it's the shaping and the process and the helping that this helps you to kind of integrate all the parts in your body. It's almost like putting all the ingredients in a cake and fix, you know, what my program does is really start the cake, put the cake together with all the ingredients so we can bake the cake. So this is the first step, is really getting into this intuition activation program, because once you do that, then you can start the process of going. And once you do that, you can expand it. But for most people, for 98, I get the statistics, and 80% of the population, the intuition, the inner guidance is dormant. It's like a sleeping giant inside of us, and it's at the root of our root chakra. It's lying there but it needs to be fired up. So I have a thing called business diagnostic. When I do look at a business, I just did that yesterday for my chiropractor, and I fire up the root chakra so that they can be more alive and more active. Now, what my chiropractor, was a monk in another lifetime. So we had to fire up his kundalini energy so that he could be more proactive, because he was just like loving and peaceful, but you need to have that kundalini energy, the root chakra, fired up so you can go take action that's kind of proactive, that is divine action that can get you results. So just something simple as him, I asked him to give me a testimonial, and he just, well, I'm going to put it off. So I actually had to do the testimony and send it to him and have him, so I want to change it. So some people need that support and that guidance just to take the action, because intellectually they know it, but they need a guide, they need some accountability to help them to do that. And that's what this, my 7-week program kind of gets them started. But then I have another program where I keep them, hold them accountable and help them to do that. So there's just many resources that I have available. You know, the soul reading that tells them. Then there's the awakening and the spiritual initiation program. Then I have a call it intuition magic, where I really get them started and hold them accountable. So I just have a track of classes that can get them started and then hold them accountable and help them go on. One of the things that might be good for the entrepreneurs, though, is to just get an intuition diagnostic for their business, because it looks at them as a business and see what is in their mindset or their belief system that may be blocking them from moving forward in their business. A lot of people want to thrive, but they really need they need a kick in the pants, like that, my chiropractor, to get himself going, you know, to get the chi moves. And we get the chi moving in the business, get it in the person, and the person, align the person with the business, and then we get the chi moving so that they can be more active in their business, and it can be more thriving and more prosperous and make more money.
Yeah, wonderful, and that is the outcome that a lot of people certainly want when you have businesses, is to make more money. And I love it how you talk about that. You've got to get the chi moving, the energy moving, and if it's stuck, if it's blocked anywhere in the base chakra or the solar plexus or the sacral chakra, then we need to able to understand on how we can get all that energy moving and how it affects our business. Like
Yeah,
so much, we don't realize it.
yeah, with this man, I had to get the throat, I had to activate the throat chakra so he could speak his truth, so he could express about his business in a way that was more powerful. So I get all those chakras going where they can, explain to them what we're doing when I do the business diagnostic and have them speak that truth about the business. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so very, very much for sharing that and for talking about that. And I will certainly be checking out your website, and I recommend everyone else to check out your website. And again, thank you for sharing your story. But before we go, Dr. Ida, if I could ask you just one more question, because I'd love, you are such an inspiration, right, to be able to share your journey and how it has helped you to get to where you are now. But if you could leave a legacy for all the people who are growing up and coming out, all the young people, the children who are growing up in our world, which is challenging. You've got the age of technology, which separates families and takes us away from ourselves. You've got all the dysfunction that is going on in the world. But if you could leave a legacy for all the people who are growing up, what legacy would that be?
I would tell them to go into the silence of their soul. Speaking, source spirit is speaking to us every minute of the day, all day long. We don't hear it because we're so busy doing things in the outer world, and we rarely trust the inner world to go in there and hear those messages and then take action on those messages. So spend time in the silence of your soul, hear what it's saying, write down those messages, talk to someone about them. Just don't keep them in bed and ignore them. Talk to someone about them, and then follow up who can help you on this journey. Find someone who can help you. Find out what you need. What do you see? Most of the people know what they're here to do. What do you came here to do? It took me a long time to realize that I'm here to help people advance spiritually and connect to the divine self. I'm doing everything except that. So it is a journey, but you have to start someplace. So I would suggest go into the silence of your soul, listen, start writing down, start journaling, and just keep writing. What is it that I'm here to do? And spirit will give you answers. But if you just say, lead me to my highest good, it will send you to the right person who can draw them into your life. You draw them in your life, and that is the person who can help you. So if someone is in front of you, what I tell myself as well as other people, you're in my life for a reason. Either I'm here to support you or you're here to support me, to bless me. So how can I bless you and how can you bless me? It's a win-win. So we need to look at how we can help others as well as how they can help us as well.
Thank you. Thank you so very, very much. And of course, I really love what you're saying about to go into the silence of the soul and experience. The soul has all the answers. Mm-hmm. And one way of getting in touch with that is by writing. So just want to acknowledge you, Dr. Ida. Again, I know I've said it before, but you truly are an inspiration to be able to share your journey, to be able to use your own techniques. So you're living, walking proof, no longer walking wounded, but a walking example of what you can do when we work on ourselves, when we build our self-esteem, when we listen to our soul, hear our soul speak in that silence. And it is magical. The title of the talk is the magic of using our intuition, but it is really magical when we get to hear that. So thank you ever so much for joining us today, for shining the light on our community. And I really am honoured that you are part of our community. And I'd love to have another conversation with you at some time in the future. For everyone who is listening, again, if you've got any comments, any questions, pop them in the comments and we will get them to Dr. Ida. And I do thoroughly recommend checking out the links, even if it's just for an activation, a consult, and then of course all your programs that you're offering. So thank you, Dr. Ida. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. And remember, love is the only answer.
It truly is. Thank you. You have a beautiful day, and wherever you are.
Thank you so much for having me. Love you. Anytime.
Not a problem. And let's talk again sometime soon.
Thank you.
Okay.